Former newsman and corporate personality Datuk Seri Kalimullah Hassan has been in the news recently. He's written a book called The Malaysia That Could Be, and in it he describes how Malaysia has descended into some kind of chaos with its various shades of corruption and degradation of institutions. We caught up with him for a frank 15-odd-minute interview in which he describes how Malaysia can be described as the next Zimbabwe in terms of its failing status, as well as what he's going to be doing in terms of where his children are going to be and where his business interests lie going forward. Thank you for joining us. Let's start with the transition, and it's not many people that can make the transition from journalist and newsman to the corporate world and into business. You spent time at the Echo and the Star in Penang, then you went to Reuters, then to the Straits Times in Singapore. You spent time at the NST, 17 years in total as a journalist. Just very quickly tell us how the transition from the media world to the corporate world began.
I think I got to credit a lot of the successes that I've had as a businessman through my years as a journalist, because first thing, it helped me with the relationships. I built up a lot of relationships while I was a journalist. Made a lot of friends both in the corporate world and in politics, and a lot of them have remained my friends until today.
Does that mean you couldn't really write hard stories about them? Because if you had written hard stories about them, then they may not have been such good friends with you.
Well, I don't think that you get to go from the Echo to Reuters and to SPH. I also wrote for 2 years for Time magazine. You don't get to go there by being soft on your subjects. So I think it is more a question of trust. I think just like the Edge, for example, you have got very good sources the way you have been running all these stories and all this. It's not by going soft on your targets.
Right. Does it help you as a journalist to to read people better, because you can tell who's fibbing and not fibbing?
Not really. I think that's a skill which I have not managed to acquire.
Even in the corporate world.
Yeah, I still misjudge people a lot, but it gives you the ability to analyze a lot of things.
That's right.
And to make more astute judgments.
Yeah. And then so you went from, I think your last gig, and then you went to join Tan Sri KEONG at FACB. He had an outfit in Cambodia.
Yes.
He hunted you to run his fledgling media enterprise at the time?
Yeah, it was to run two things. One was, I think he was starting off his casino. He had started off his casino in Cambodia. And just like a lot of businessmen, I think the media gives you a foothold into the higher echelons of power.
That's right.
So he needed me to organize and turn around the newspaper he had, the Cambodia Times. And also he had a college in Cambodia called the Regent College, which he asked me to help run. And that's how I joined him. I was headhunted through a Singapore firm, Russell Reynolds. And
so did you make a fist of it? Was it a profit-making entity by the time you left?
Well, the newspaper was still a loss-making. I was there only for slightly less than 2 years, but the circulation did go up. I think the media is a business which you really have to go in for the long term.
That's right.
And if you don't have a business or political ambitions, it's difficult to sustain.
That's right.
The
I'm
media.
sure a lot of media entrepreneurs are finding out now. But then you've written the book, and we'll talk about that in the second section. But the overall mood and tone of the book was actually quite. It was quite bleak in a sense. One didn't get the sense that you had a very positive and a very optimistic view of corporate life and in business and Malaysiana right now. Just why?
I think especially over the last 10-15 years, I think you've seen a slide. And
a slide
in all aspects, For example, it maybe has taken a longer time building up, but you actually see the negative effects of, first of all, the education system is so bad. People who graduate locally, it's almost impossible to find good people to employ. You know? Our human resources has been depleted. Education system is bad. The good people are leaving, and you see racial, religious tensions coming up. You see massive corruption. I tell a lot of people when they ask me why did I venture into business in Myanmar, and people get very surprised when I say that when I started going to Myanmar about 6-7 years ago. And
what do you do there?
We have a power plant. We have a power plant there in Yangon, and we didn't have to bribe anyone to get the power plant.
Staggering.
Yeah.
You told a radio show some weeks ago that you actually thought Malaysia was headed towards it was quite Zimbabwe-like in its dimensions.
Yes, yeah, I still hold to that belief. I mean, I would recommend 2 books at least to people who want to see the parallels with Malaysia. One is a book called Zimbabwe by Philip Barclay, a British diplomat. And when you see how it was the rice bowl of Africa in 1981 when Rhodesia became Zimbabwe and Mugabe took over, then from 1987 you see a lot of parallels, how Mugabe destroyed the institutions, the judiciary, and how he got the, in the wave of nationalism, his party ZANU, PF if I'm not mistaken, how they started taking over the white farms and all that.
How many years do you think Malaysia has left before it really descends into chaos?
I don't know, if you read this book, Saving Failed States, which was written by the current Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, who was in the UN for 25 years. His job was to go to failing states and to turn them around, countries like Somalia, like Afghanistan and all these places. And in the first page of that book, he talks about failing states, and one of the failing states is Malaysia.
Yeah, failing. Yeah, we haven't failed yet, but we're failing.
Yeah, we are failing. Yeah.
In your mind, in your vintage as a a corporate man and newsman, how many years do you think Malaysia has got left before it's past the point of no return?
I don't think anyone can predict it, but I think the clock is fast ticking, and good people are leaving, capital flight,
Are your friends taking their money out?
Oh yeah. Privately,
abroad?
whenever we have dinner, all they talk about is how to take their money out, how to buy properties in Australia or in UK, or look for businesses in other countries. That's how they're taking almost everyone I meet, I think. Even guys who don't have that much money are taking money out,
Yeah, it's quite distressing.
Yeah.
What about your kids? What are you telling them?
I think my youngest girl is finishing soon and coming back, but all of them have their roots here, and if I had to turn back the clock 10 years, if I'd seen things differently 10 years ago, I would have encouraged them to find a job overseas and work overseas. Maybe not to stay there, because I still miss them. I can't live anywhere else outside Malaysia, but I would have encouraged them to find a job overseas and work there.
Quite frank revelations then from Datuk Seri Kali in terms of his views on Malaysia's status as a failing state, and as well as his contemporaries in terms of what they're doing with the capital and every endeavour they're doing to take it abroad, which is quite stark and startling, because without the entrepreneurs in this country, without the business people in this country, one can only hope and pray that we do not descend into some kind of financial chaos. In the next part, I'll catch up with Datuk Seri Kali, and we'll be talking about himself personally and how his injuries have curtailed and changed his outlook on life.